How writing every day is life-changing. He had something to say regarding the concept of thinking more clearly. The intriguing thing about having a blog or daily project, even if it is just posting one thing on social media each day or something similar, is that when you have a daily task, you discover that you do not have anything to say, but rather that you discover what you have to say. That is why some people think that since you write every day, you must have a tremendous amount to say.
Really, it is the opposite, he said.
He writes every day, which helps him to express his thoughts and what he truly wants to say. As a result, he has more to say. Writing is therefore more than just a means of interacting with the outside world. It's actually a means of communicating with yourself, because by simply spending 45 minutes in front of a keyboard or taking out your notebook for 30 minutes, you are making time during the day to sort of connect with what is happening and determine what he truly feels and thinks. This notion that he has nothing to say is one that the novice needs to get over very fast. What will he write about on his blog? It seems that you will do something every day because of the pressure, routine, and muscles involved in blogging daily. The butterfly effect. It is simply the notion that a seemingly insignificant action can have a significant impact in the future. Therefore, establishing a blog revolutionized his life by enabling him to feel comfortable sharing himself online. 10 years ago, it helped him take the first steps toward writing a few blog entries. So, 18 months later, he asked himself, hey, should I start a video channel? That was not his worry. Thanks to Show Your Work, he had already made the first steps and launched his personal blog, so he did not have to worry about getting started. In all honesty, he believes that he probably would not have launched the video channel if he had not started the blog, because he would have been immobilized by the fear of being vulnerable. No one really cares what you think. What if his true name was discovered? What happens if his family members and friends view his video channel? What will people think? However, he discovered that he could launch a video channel after 18 months of work, including writing online and discovering that no one genuinely cared, and that his friends and family had no idea if he had a blog. He has the ability to vlog his medical school classes. No one is interested in the videos he makes about how to get into medical school. That just serves to benefit others, which is admirable, and it can expand his audience. He decided to write online 10 years ago, which is why he is sitting here today, around 3.5 years later, speaking with someone. He actually went on a live date yesterday with a person he met online who was reading his writings, which is a wonderful little detail. Therefore, it would have also been his responsibility to develop a blog and put himself online if he and she were to get married, thanks to Cleon Austin. Okay, now let us take a quick look at how to actually begin blogging online and what topics to write about. What to actually write about and how do you begin them? Basically, you want to create a Google-free website and create an account on either WordPress or Substack, both of which are totally free, or you can use Ghost, the platform he uses. Although it is somewhat expensive, it is well worth the investment if you are sincere about creating a blog that transforms your life. You may always use Substack or WordPress, which are totally free, if you cannot, or if you simply have an allergic reaction to the idea of spending money online. What do you write about, by the way? He is frequently asked this question. Now let us go on to another David Perel part. Do not even consider what the world will find interesting when you begin writing. Simply pursue your hobbies until you reach the point where you're writing on really specialized subjects. If there is one thing to learn from the internet, it is that there are other people who share your interests. As we are all aware, these specialist subjects will, in all honesty, provide you with the most opportunities to network and experience fascinating events. In other words, begin with the least item you can. Write about anything that intrigues you first. Simply record your work, read it, present it, record your process, and record the things you learn. You will simply connect with people who share your interests, make friends, establish business relationships, and truly enjoy becoming a global citizen of the internet. If you do that and also be moderately active on social media, which we will discuss some other time, that is essentially all you need to get going. How anyone can seriously become a millionaire by writing online. Find out how this unassuming doctor explains how becoming wealthy from his foolproof online writing plan is truly that simple, yet highly effective to follow with tangible results. Forward. In this post, we're discussing ridiculous ways that starting a blog and being out on the internet has completely transformed lives and how it can change yours too. As a doctor from Cambridge and about 10 years ago, he took the plunge to expressing himself and starting his own blog. He immediately understood that he wanted to start a certain type of blog from the moment that he practically started college. Although he was aware that he wanted to start writing online, he was always afraid of doing so and was never able to overcome those concerns. The unique writing plunge. First of all, there were concerns about actually beginning to write online, such as, what in the world am I going to write about? Why would anyone want to read my words? His friends and relatives would undoubtedly tease him and believe him to be an okay person if they found out that he had a personal blog that had been posting on the internet. Also, he felt really discouraged from writing anything because he knew he would never come up with anything truly unique. Since he believed that everything had previously been written about, he was caught on the idea that he had to be unique. This doctor mentioned here is really interested in technology and he likes being productive, but there are so many blogs and videos about tech and productivity that it made him wonder, what can he possibly add to all of that as a 20-year-old medical student? He was scared he might not do a good job. What if his article isn't good? What if people think it's bad? What if he made mistakes in his writing? Even worse, he worried that maybe many years from now, a future boss looking to hire him as a doctor might see that he started a blog years ago and think, why did you do that? Because of these silly fears, he didn't share anything online for about 4 or 5 years. The impact of a certain book. They prevented him from writing a single word or launching a blog. However, he came into Austin Kleon's book Show Your Work 10 years ago, which was essentially the best time for him. Now his life was completely transformed by this book alone. In fact, of all the books he has ever read, this is the one he has gifted the most. He maintains several copies of this book in the house since he frequently uses it when he's chatting to people and they stop by to ask him for advice on anything. "Oh my God, I am scared to put myself out there," he would say. He would simply hand them the book. It is quite brief and simple to read. Also, it was revolutionary for him in that it enabled him to overcome all of his worries and take the risk of publishing on the internet. The fact that this book serves as a guide to self-promotion for those who detest the concept is another aspect of it that he finds particularly appealing. He used to believe that self-promotion was a bad thing, and he was afraid of what people would think if he posted himself or anything online. However, he conveys that it is not about self-promotion in his discourse. Showing off your work is the goal. Now, if you see yourself, for instance, watching this individual on the internet, you are undoubtedly curious in the behind-the-scenes experiences of the people who run it. Therefore, if he were to write about that on his blog, he could do something akin to a journal in which he would say something like, hey, so he is filming this video and this is what the script looks like and this is what the finished product looks like. With these are essentially his notes along with his thought process and the diagrams he created to get to the main idea of the final product. The emergence of online writing on the internet. In fact, that is pretty fascinating, and people could not really get a behind-the-scenes peek at other people's work back when the internet was not really around. It would be similar to an artist going into their cave and painting, or a writer writing a book and emerging with a book. However, everyone is curious about the painting's creation. They want to witness the figurative creation of the sausage. Therefore, it is not really necessary to think of something intriguing to write when you first start a blog. Actually, it is merely a matter of recording what you are already doing. He could have easily chronicled what it was like to be a medical student because he was one at the time. He actually began doing that on my video channel around 5 years later. The importance of documenting experiences. In the past, he might have written book reviews and shared his thoughts about the novels he was reading because he was reading a big number of them. Actually, he was frequently asked what he regretted or what advice he would have given himself 10 years ago. He consistently responded by saying that he wished he had started a blog sooner and that he had just been reviewing books that he had read. He read this for the first time 5 years ago, but he did not write down his feelings and ideas at the time, so he does not remember what they were. He does not have any of that, but it would be fascinating to reflect on the 4-hour work week and how it impacted him. He wishes he had read about it when he was 17, and he sincerely regrets not keeping a personal blog when he was living his life. His other major concern was that he needed to be an authority on the subject. How can someone possibly write about something he is not an expert on? You do not have to be a genius, according to the first chapter of this book. Sharing your method, documenting your work, and demonstrating how you are learning things do not require you to be an expert. You can adopt the mindset of a newbie wholeheartedly. The journey of the beginner. He had no knowledge of productivity. He was only recording what he was learning when he said, "Hey guys, here are some tips that I found helpful. Perhaps you will like reading this article or something similar if you find them useful." He could not write about it since, as you may be thinking as you watch this, he claimed not to be an expert in anything. Accept your status as a novice. When it comes to teaching other beginnings, a novice is frequently far more skilled than an expert. This is what C.S. Lewis refers to as the curse of knowledge. It is as though you forget what it was like to be a beginning at anything once you have mastered it. He was therefore a complete novice when it came to learning how to sketch. Thanks to Austin Kleon's book, Show Your Work, he was taking art classes, trying to master concept art, and sharing his progress on social media. Also, he plans to write a brief blog entry about his adventure on his website, because he says he is not an expert in art at the moment. His artwork is terrible. He is a complete novice. However, if you are considering starting an artistic endeavor, you may be curious to know how someone who is a complete novice goes about it, and how does one go from not being able to draw anything to being able to draw somewhat nice-looking things. It truly comes down to showcasing your work. His other major concern was what his family and friends would think if he started a blog.